Let's have a look to see what we're going to do. We're going to get the machine out of here, look. It's coming out here. It's there. Let the fun times begin. Right, the first thing I'm going to do is take the basket off. This makes the machine more compact, shorter, slightly narrower, and removes anything that could snag or catch on the way out. It also reduces the risk of the basket getting damaged if something does go wrong, so getting that off and out of the way is just the safest place to begin. I'm hoping that I don't have to narrow this down, although I think I'm going to have to. Getting it in here, we lost a track, so we need to avoid doing that again. Just to clarify what I'm saying there, the main thing I'm trying to avoid is narrowing the tracks unless I absolutely have to. When you bring the tracks in, you lose a lot of ground clearance, so instead of rolling over things like plants and uneven ground, the machine starts dragging across them, and that just makes everything harder to control. It's also worth explaining, it's not so much that the centre of gravity is raised. If anything, it can actually be slightly lower. The issue is that by narrowing the tracks, you're reducing the machine's footprint. So even though the weight has changed, you've got a much narrower base supporting it, which means it's easier to tip and a lot less stable overall. But the biggest issue for me is the risk of throwing a track. On the way in, there's edgings running alongside this tarmac, and when the tracks are narrow, they can end up riding along the top of it. If they're not positioned perfectly, they can slip off a runner, and that's exactly what happened. Fixing that in a tight spot is not something you want to be dealing with, especially when you've got limited room to work with. So by keeping the machine in its wide track setting, I've got better stability, more ground clearance, and much lower risk of anything happening again, which just makes the whole process of getting out of here a lot more controlled. I wonder if we could take you around that way.
I think so.
Yeah. Set that up where you can see us moving the back. Right, Tommy, let's put this bath over there. This place is a full renovation and waste collection has been an absolute nightmare. So this cast iron bath's just been doing the rounds. It keeps ending up exactly where you don't want it to be. Thankfully, I've got Tomek with me to help me move it again. I need to avoid these bits of stub. They could have a track off in seconds, they could. Oh, do you know what? Do you know what the more I look at this? The more I look at them stumps, the more I think this might be bad. They want to keep the rose is precious to them. Okay, now I'm going to narrow it down, I'm going to come through the archway. Narrowing the machine down is exactly what I've been trying to avoid, mainly because I'm already really tight for space as it is. But these stumps sticking out either side of the archway, they just make it impossible to get through at full width. I've got a couple of options. I could cut them down to ground level, but I don't really have the right tools with me for that. Or I could try and build some sort of ramp over them, but realistically it's not worth the time or effort for that. And unfortunately, I can't just drive over them. So that leaves me with one option, and that is to narrow the tracks. Now on the platform basket, it's not just a case of pressing a button. I actually have to lower the outriggers first, take the weight off the tracks, pull the locking pins out, and then as I bring the outriggers back up, the track assemblies fold in underneath the machine, which narrows it down and lowers it slightly. On some other machines like the Hanoa 2010 or the CMC S20, you can do all of that at the push of a button, without even putting the outriggers down. And in situations like this, where space is already limited, that's a massive advantage. But like with any machine, there are always trade-offs. One big advantage I do have with the Platform Basket 1890 Pro is the ground clearance. It's significantly better than those machines which make getting over rough, uneven terrain like this much easier. So while the manual track adjustment is definitely a disadvantage, especially in tight access situations, it's just one of those compromises you get with different machines. And in this case, it's something I've got to work around. We are ready to get out of here. As I mentioned earlier, this property is a full renovation, and that includes the garden as well. So the plants we've had to run over getting the machine in and out aren't too much of a concern, and the customer's been clear that we don't need to worry about those. The one thing she does want to keep though is the rose growing over this pergola. The pergola itself is being replaced, which is lucky because this is a very tight squeeze, and if I'm honest, we've already clobbered it a few times with the machine getting it in and out, so it definitely makes life easier knowing it's not being kept. Now, with the machine narrowed down, we're just about narrow enough and just about short enough to get through here. But the issue is the ground. There's a raised edging running along both sides of the path through the pergola, and with one track up on that edge and the other off it, it's actually lifting the machine just enough to cause a problem. We're talking millimeters, but that's all it takes. It means the machine's effectively a bit too tall to pass cleanly through the pergola. To give ourselves a bit more room, we've propped the top of the pergola up slightly using bricks, just to avoid catching it as we come through. I've also taken the pads off the outriggers to make the machine as narrow as physically possible. Even with all that though, it's still not quite lining up how I need it to. That's because I've got one track running up on the raised curb and the other sitting down on the tarmac, so the whole machine is slightly off level. And because it's not running plumb, the top of the machine is leaning over to the right hand side. That's just enough to bring the outrigger into contact with the right hand post of the pergola as we come through, and that's the problem. Even though we've got the width and the height on paper, the lean is what's stopping us from getting through it cleanly. Hang on, I've got a brilliant idea. So the solution here is to bring the machine back out slightly and pack up the low side. I'm placing one of my spreader pads under the track to lift it up and level the machine out. By doing that, it takes the lean out of the machine, which in turn pulls the outrigger away from the post, and that should just give me enough space to squeeze the machine through. Get in it. So by leveling the machine, giving the post a bit of persuasion, and just being careful, well, careful-ish, we do eventually manage to squeeze the cherry picker through the pergola. It's tight, but it goes. As mentioned earlier in the video, there's been a bit of an issue with waste disposal on this job. The skip on the drive should have been swapped over about a week ago, but there's been a delay with the skip company. Can't blame the customer for this, it's a bit out of their hands, but the knock-on effect is that the skip is blocking what would have been the easiest way out, and at the same time there's now a week's worth of rubbish building up in the courtyard. I've had to move loads of this rubbish just to get the machine into position in the first place, but even now it's still leaving me very tight for space. Because of that, I've got to get a bit creative with how I use the machine. On this occasion I'm lifting the fly jib up, which effectively gives me a bit more usable space at the front, roughly about 700mm. By lifting the fly jib up and over the rubbish, it allows me to position the machine without fouling anything in front of me, and that extra bit of clearance is just enough to help me manoeuvre the machine where I need it to be. Next job, take the gate off. With the gate removed and the way clear, it's time to start putting the machine back together. The first job is getting the pads back onto the outriggers. That way, if I need to drop the legs at any point, I've got proper protection on the ground and a much more stable footing. The gateway I'm coming out through is wide enough to accommodate the machine with the pads on, so it just makes sense to refit them now. Right, almost out, almost out.
Let's see how many green paint left on this after we come out.
When you're working out whether or not a spider lift will fit into a space, it's not just about the width of the machine. The overall length can be just as important. In this case, the gap between the stone wall and the house is actually shorter than the length of the machine itself, and this means I can't just line it up with the gateway and drive straight through. If I try to do that, the rear of the machine, or the knuckle end of the boom, will foul the wall before I've even got the front end where it needs to be. At the same time, the fly jib at the front is also getting very close to the house, so effectively I've got nowhere to go. So I'm stuck in a position where the machine is technically narrow enough, but it's just too long to turn and line up in one movement. This means I need to change the shape of the machine. What I'm going to do is raise the tower boom, which will lift the rear knuckle up and over the wall. That gives me the clearance I need at the back so I can start bringing the machine round into position. Now, this isn't something you want to do unless you have to, but in this tight setup, it's the only way to make things work. Right, comment. Don't get too close to this because it's hot. This next part isn't ideal, and it's definitely not something you'd choose to do unless you absolutely have to. As we established earlier, I've got to raise the tower boom to lift the rear knuckle up and over the wall. The problem with that is I've now increased the height of the machine while still running on narrow tracks. So I've got a reduced footprint on the ground, and I'm raising the working height of the machine at the same time, which makes the whole setup far less stable. And on top of that, I'm also moving the machine while it's in that position. That combination of height, movement and reduced footprint is where the real risk comes in. If something goes wrong here, the potential for the machine to become unstable is much higher than it would be in a normal setup. But in this situation, there isn't really another option. It's the only way I can get the machine out of this courtyard. Now, even doing this creates another issue, because as I lift the tower boom, I'm not just gaining clearance at the back, I'm also pushing the front of the machine out slightly. So effectively, I'm making the machine longer while I'm trying to maneuver it in a space that's already a bit tight. So everything here becomes a compromise. I've got to bring the machine as close to the wall as I can while slowly working it round, constantly adjusting my position to avoid catching anything. At the same time, I'm making the use of the outriggers where I can, just to give me a bit of extra stability as I go. But because I'm so tight for space, I can't have them down all the time, so it's a case of using them carefully and only where possible. And space really is the limiting factor here. Even with the knuckle over the wall, I've now got the fly jib coming close to the house, and there's also a canopy over the front door that's taking up even more space. At this point, every single millimetre counts, to the extent that I actually have to rotate the fly jib using a sweeping brush just because I couldn't physically reach the controls from where I was positioned. Small adjustments like that are what make the difference in a situation like this. A slight movement of the turret, a small change in angle, just enough to gradually bring the machine round and line it up with the gate. And once I've finally got the base of the machine lined up, I can bring the boom back down again, with the knuckle now safely within the opening, which immediately brings the risk level back down and makes the whole operation much more controlled again. But overall, this isn't something you take lightly. It's a high risk manoeuvre, and it's all about managing that risk properly, making sure the area is clear, staying aware of your surroundings and always giving yourself a way out if something doesn't go to plan. It's not ideal, but with the right approach and a lot of care, it's possible to get that machine exactly where you need it. With the base of the machine now lined up with the gateway and the boom safely back down, the difficult part of this job is well behind us. From here, it's just a case of carefully bringing the machine through the gateway, which is still tight, but a lot more straightforward now everything's lined up properly. Once I'm through, I can bring the machine back out onto the road, drop the outriggers and widen the tracks back out again. That gives me a much more stable setup for tracking it back up to the trailer and getting everything loaded up ready for the next job. Jobs like this are a good reminder that access is often the hardest part. Getting the work done is one thing, but getting the machine in and out safely can be the real challenge. It's all about planning, adapting to what's in front of you and making the best decisions you can with the space that you've got. And in this case, with a bit of patience and a few tight squeezes, we got the job done. And there you are. Job's a fish. I hope you found this video interesting and informative, and if you did, please give it a thumbs up. If you've got any questions or thoughts, feel free to leave a comment below. And if you enjoy this kind of content, cherry pickers, roofing and working at height, make sure to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss the next one. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next job. I think what we've demonstrated there is that where there's a will and the tolerance to inflict a bit of collateral damage, there's a way.